right, welcome to the brand new Bottom Line presented by Let It Fly West. I am Michael Severe. He is Mike Schaefer. It is our first show, and it's been really easy to get on. Thank you very much for the crowd. We appreciate it. It was very hard to get on the air.
Yeah, no, this was a production.
You've been awake for I don't know what 22 hours. I don't know. You've been up a while, so you'll be okay. We are broadcasting from Let It Fly West. Now the goal is every Wednesday we'll do a live show from here. Of course, not every co-host can be here. Not every guest can be here on Wednesday, so we'll have some flexibility to open a brand new store tomorrow in Lincoln. So we may do some stores from Lincoln as well. So, yep, I'm trying to set up some stuff with coaches. It's a lot easier to talk to the coach in the coming to Lincoln than coming to here. So it'd be a lot easier.
That makes me think of the Big Red Breakfast where someone would be in charge of driving them.
Oh, in the old days. Yeah, the old days.
There for that.
The Holiday Inn.
You could always tell like if the coaches were driving themselves, they'd end up showing up a little bit late.
Yeah.
People would get a little anxious, a little restless.
When I first started,
Through their sausage and their
they spent the night. They spent the night. When I first started doing it in 2002 for Channel 7, I would go cover it, and they would spend the night, and Frank Solich would come rolling down the stairs. Well, not rolling, elevator. He'd come in and he'd get going.
I feel like some of the guys did. A lot of them just drove in.
They drove in.
I don't remember which coach basically started his introduction by saying he drove like 95 miles an hour and he woken up late.
To get there late. What year was this?
Brooks and I were still covering this in 2011.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 2012 as well, but definitely 2011.
So it was still there at Cocoa Key.
Yep.
And it hadn't moved yet.
No.
None of the times it moved. Okay.
I think it was still happening in 2012 as well.
Yeah.
So
it was. And then it got taken over by the Omaha World
yeah.
Herald.
No, you were the host
And the World
for a
Herald
while.
for a little while. Yeah. Yeah. Dirk hosted it one year as well in was Gretna. I think it was out in Gretna or Elkhorn, one of the two.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So
That sounds right.
Specials on Wednesday when we tape, the Dollar Wing Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
So that's easy to do. Mondays, they have cheese pepperoni pizza for special. Tuesday is, guess what?
Tacos.
Taco Tuesday.
Wow.
Chicken or beef. And then Thursday, kids eat free.
Yeah, I noticed that. I circled it. With a child now, you have to look for any way to cut costs.
Yes.
If they can eat free, that just makes an easier place to go.
Cut costs. Are things going up? No. So Thursdays, kid eat free with the purchase of an adult. And then Friday, Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, that one caught my eye too.
That looks pretty good. I am a big fan of their French dip.
Okay.
They have really good bread, and au jus is delicious.
I remember when the first time I had done this with you as a guest, you talked me into doing the chicken sandwich. It was like a hot honey chicken sandwich.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
It was very
Big
good.
fan.
Very good
Big,
chicken
big
sandwich.
fan.
Yes. They have hamburgers. They got pizza. They got everything. I
Yeah.
mentioned that. Reverse happy hour as well, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to 1 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who's awake during those hours.
Not me.
Because it's not me. But, you can always check everything. We'll have everything up on Instagram, YouTube. We'll have it up on Twitter and everywhere, so you'll be able to check out all of our sites. Our guest this week for the first show is former Major Leaguer,
Yeah.
Council Bluffs Hall of Famer as well,
I
Iowa Western Hall of Famer.
basically a WGN Hall of Famer for
WGN
those of
Hall of
us
Famer,
around, in the 97 to 2003-ish range.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I appreciate
John
you
Lieber
having
is his name.
a baseball guest here.
Isn't that weird?
on the show right away. Just an olive branch to me right
Yeah.
as we're starting this thing off. So I appreciate that.
Well, tomorrow, we're taping this on Wednesday. Tomorrow on Thursday, John will get into the Omaha Sports Commission Hall of Fame.
Okay. So
Yes.
this wasn't specifically for me.
No.
Oh.
He was coming to town. So we're
Misunderstood.
like, let's do it that way, and it works out
Okay.
good. But one of my favorite things about that award show, and I've been involved with it for 5 years now on the committee, is that you get to call people and tell them they're Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And I called the longtime Elkhorn coach. I remember calling him, which is pretty cool. Called Bud Crawford. Called Curly Alexander. You know Curly?
I don't know, Curly.
Longtime wrestler and wrestling
Okay.
coach. So it's really cool to be able to call people. I got a chance to call John and congratulate him.
Nice.
So that's one of the cool things about
That's
it.
fantastic.
Before we get into the show, a couple things happened today we should hit on. Your thoughts on 11 a.m. for another Black Friday game for Nebraska against Iowa?
I mean, I feel like they played pretty much every time across the gamut at this point, So 11 a.m. They've done that before.
But not nighttime, which is good because last time at night, It was incredibly cold in Iowa City.
Yes, it was
One of the coldest
and that
nights
was
I've ever been in.
that was the disaster of the fumble inside the 10-yard line. I know you have to be very specific when you're talking about your Nebraska Iowa
Call it a
disasters
muff.
anymore.
That was the muff.
The muff.
That was the muff.
We need to start naming these.
I think there was an entire show done. You might have heard it. It was about the groin kicks.
Yeah,
And they named all of these already.
All right.
Yes, so they had that.
So we'll have to go through and we can use what the work that they've already done. But yeah, 11 a.m. is totally fine. I mean, that's going to be a really interesting time for Matt Rule in Nebraska. You're coming off that Ohio State game the week before. Obviously, November has been a giant bugaboo for this staff since they've been here, and they're in their 4th season. They need to stack wins, and you're sitting there like, let's say you're 7-4 going into that game. There is a world of difference if Nebraska goes 8-4 with a win against Iowa to finish the season.
Yeah.
Than another 7-5. Even a 7-5 with this schedule, I think people would acknowledge good, pretty good.
Even if they're 6-5, and they get to 7, and they beat Iowa.
Well, yeah.
So that that counts 2 as a win.
I just, I think so much about that game where the muff game.
Yeah.
How much that would change people and their feeling on certain things if you just had finished. But that you could say that about a half dozen games already of the Matt Rule era. And so, it feels like we're tracking for that before these teams have even done anything, that it's going to be close and late. And
did you know
critical game?
Did you know how many 3rd down conversions Iowa had in that game?
Against Nebraska?
In that game?
I'm assuming 0.
0.
Because the big play, the Caleb Johnson play was like a second down pass.
Yep. Yep.
And then, their offense did largely nothing the rest of that game.
3 plays made a difference in that. The other games, Ohio opened the season's 11 a.m. game.
That surprised me.
I love that.
I wasn't expecting that to be an 11 a.m. game. So if you would have asked me, I would have guessed that Ohio would have been like a 6 o'clock start.
Yeah.
And that North Dakota would have been an 11 a.m. game, which they could have started that at 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. And you and I would have been thrilled.
That'd be great.
Nobody else, but just the North Dakota game that does not need to be under prime time. But 6:15 start, I believe, on
it is 6:15 on Big Ten.
Yep, that one's on Big Ten.
And the thing about that is that Big Ten has a certain requirement to have teams, so you got to fit it in there. My thing about the 11 a.m. game with Ohio is there was no other place. If you look at the rest of the schedule, there's good games. And then there's Nebraska playing Ohio.
I kind of like, in the sense, first game of the year, you don't have to wait that long on Saturday to see your team play. You get it rolling. And then, you can sit back and watch everything else the rest of that weekend.
A couple of headlines before we get to John. Jordy Fromm, USA Player of the Year, 4-time All-Conference, 4-time she's Pitcher of the Year.
Yep.
Every award she possibly have. Can you say, we've talked a lot about being on the female Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
How about we take football out? Just have the other sports. Male and female. Does she go on it then? What do you think?
I mean,
if they win the championship, I should have said that.
I think if you put it in sort of an era context, like if you're just going the 2000s, it's hard to say that there's individual athletes that have had a greater contribution to their sport or their team. Let's just say you just started for the 2000s Rushmore.
Okay.
I think she's on it, clearly.
Next to Alex March.
Well, I love Alex March. I love Nebraska basketball. I don't know that Alex March is making my Mount Rushmore.
I just said that because Kevin
Nebraska basketball, but I do appreciate a shout out for
Alex March,
the center of my college experience for a large part.
So since 2000, obviously Eric Crouch goes on there if we include.
I think he's your football. Well, I think if you're not taking football on there, it's Alex Gordon, it's Jordy Fromm. I would say Jordan Burroughs deserves mentioned because of the giant success that he had. I mean, undefeated national champion multiple times.
What about Jordan Larson?
And then you have to pick a volleyball player.
Greatest international player.
And so
won the championship, and she got the best nickname. I mean, the governor is pretty good.
That's a good nickname. Is there anybody that we're forgetting that would be part of that?
Well, is there anybody from track and field that I wouldn't know?
I don't know that I would know either. That's the problem.
Because they've had some people, obviously.
They've had the individual champions. I don't know if they've had anyone that's been so purely dominant. Like, that's the thing about Jordan Burroughs. It'd be hard to leave him off because he went undefeated.
Right.
And he did it multiple times.
Right.
And, Jordy Fromm, part of it with her is, does the story have to be completed with a national championship or reaching the national championship for her to be on this level? And then there's this other aspect. Does she have the single most impactful injury that Nebraska athletics has had?
Yeah,
none of this happens if she doesn't get hurt in the first game of 2024.
Right.
Like, we aren't even talking about this season right now in the same way. They might be good. They might be a regional team. I don't think they're hosting. I don't think they hosted a super regional. I don't think they're here without Jordy Fromm. And that's not to slight the rest of that team.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis Jensen is a future, and it's going to be bright. But that injury on the first game of 2024 that seemed to just completely sink all of the enthusiasm about that whole season gave you the opportunity for Alexis Jensen, a freshman, to play with now the player of the year in Jordy Fromm. Like it's just remarkable to think about the little things that sort of had to happen to line up to have the season that they're having now.
Because usually, obviously, when you have an injury, ends the season and nothing good comes out of it.
Yeah, right.
But to get her an extra year to be around.
Well, and now, I mean, whenever we hit some sort of answer in college sports, you might just have the 5 for 5 and something like that would exist otherwise.
Anyway,
but it was so fortuitous for Nebraska to have it happen the way that it did.
Really quick about her. So against Texas, UCLA, Tennessee, Texas Tech, Mississippi State, obviously there's no Arkansas. She hasn't pitched against Arkansas, but she is 13-8 against those other teams that are in the College World Series currently with a 2.05 ERA.
Well, and the remarkable thing on that list of names you just dropped, Nebraska played several of those teams already this year.
Yes, exactly.
So it's the thing of that Nebraska did when they knew they had this team is they went and they scheduled super aggressive. You had Texas Tech, you've had Texas, you played Oklahoma State, twice before you even played them in a super regional. They played these great teams, and you set yourself up to have this opportunity that nothing that they experience other than the pomp and circumstance of being in the College World Series. Otherwise, it's just softball. It's something they've been playing, most of their life. And so I don't expect the moment to be too big for them. I really expect Nebraska, and especially on their side of the draw, to really have a great chance to reach a championship game.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is I watched all those softball games, right? Watched everybody play. And that great Georgia-Florida game, watch Texas play, watch all of them play. There's not a team in that group that looks as good as Nebraska does when Nebraska is really good. That really ever happens for a Nebraska team. They dismantled
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
You remember you and I were talking with Nate Rohr, the voice of Nebraska softball.
Yeah, total,
like,
right?
Hey, total runs 10. And it's like,
he said 15.
Did that in one game.
Yeah, he said 15. I was like, the first game, I was like, well, he's going to nail this. Yeah.
There was
2 1s. Yeah.
And then some of those home runs were just by the skin. You couldn't have hit it just at that perfect distance to get over. And so it took just every little bit.
Yeah.
They controlled those games. Truly great. Truly great performance.
We're going to bring John in now, John Lieber, to be our guest. We'll take a quick break here. We'll match it up. And we'll come back with John Lieber, former major leaguer and soon to be Omaha Sports Commission Hall of Famer, here on the brand new Bottom Line Show. Brought to you by Let It Fly West. All right, welcome back to the Bottom Line, brought to you by Let It Fly West. We are joined by John Lieber, former major leaguer, Council Bluffs native, and soon to be Omaha Sports Commission Hall of Famer. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time.
No, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
And you drove in. How long was the drive? How much anger was there between anybody? Was it smooth?
No, it was fairly smooth. It takes about 16 hours, and from Mobile to here, and my wife keeps me in check pretty much the whole way. So
that's their jobs.
Yeah. So she stays busy, doing work in the car, and then I just try and take my time getting us here safely.
What's the playlist here? Or are you going audiobooks? Is it music? Is it a combination of things? Is it just sheer silence?
No, music. Yeah.
Okay.
It's 70s, 80s, some classic rock.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little bit of everything.
Why did you end up settling? I was at Fort Rucker, Alabama.
Okay.
So I've been through Mobile quite a bit, being in Dothan. Why'd you end up settling after playing in so many different places? Why'd you settle there?
Just fell in love with the city. After I left Iowa Western, attended the University of South Alabama.
Yep.
I've never been south of Branson, Missouri, and got down there and just, like I said, just fell in love with the people, the city, and just made my roots there. So.
Was that like your off-season home then during kind of the baseball career?
Yes. Yeah, it was. It was a good place to raise a family, and obviously I had my friends from school down there, and we hung out, did a lot of things together during the off season, and it was just great times.
John Lieber joining us here at Let It Fly West. Walk us through what it was like growing up in Council Bluffs. First time I came here was '98, and it was still basically that casino area. That was about it. But lots have changed. But what was it like growing up?
You want me to be honest?
Yeah, please.
Just there's not a whole lot to do
Yeah.
back then.
Sure.
Underage drinking, probably a lot of that.
Hard to imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but just just hanging out, parties, typical teenage type things, and
Yeah.
and honestly, everybody talked about getting out of Council Bluffs.
Sure.
Where are we going to end up? We can't wait to graduate. We need to get out of here.
A lot of cruising though, right? My wife grew up here. She told me they used to go over there on Broadway and do the cruising.
yeah, not North Broadway, West Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, cruise up and down the street the whole time. Turn
Yeah.
around, go all the way back.
Go all the way back.
Yeah. So
I mean, you mentioned everybody wants to get out at Council Bluffs, but your opportunity in baseball keeps you there with Iowa Western. Did you have other places that you were sort of looking at, or was that kind of just a very easy transition because you're right there in Council Bluffs, you're familiar with the program?
Oh man. So I'll be honest with you. And this is probably something I'll hit on tomorrow night, but real quickly, baseball was not in my future. I was pretty much done. When I graduated high school, and it took a 30-minute conversation with my mom. I'll never forget it, in the kitchen. And she said, why don't you try out for, the baseball team? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So ended up doing it, made the team, and wanted to play outfield, wanted to hit, never even dreamed about being a pitcher. And I found out real quick that's not going to happen. So luckily, a good friend of mine, even to this day, Bill Drapinski, who's from Omaha.
Yeah, sure. Officer Bill Drapinski, now retired.
Bill, yes, was my catcher, and he recommended to Coach Novacek about Lieber can pitch, and it just kind of took off from there. Not saying I never pitched in high school or anything. I pitched in some games, but it just kind of evolved around that. That's when it really took off. So,
was there a moment with the Reavers where in your mind you said, I might be able to do this as a pro?
No.
When did that moment happen?
That happened at the University of South Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time with Iowa Western, it was like stages. It felt like when I was leaving there, I knew I had the opportunity to go play somewhere else. Division I. Nebraska was the first school that offered me a scholarship, but I wanted to to get away. Yeah. So,
and they weren't very good, if I remember, Nebraska baseball.
Not like they are now.
Yeah,
I mean they were okay, but definitely not like what they are now. But so went to tryout camps and had the opportunity to play at the University of South Alabama. Got a scholarship, and the rest was just kind of history. Really was able to get with a very, very good pitching coach, probably the best pitching coach I've had throughout my whole career.
Wow.
He was that good. And it just, I think after my first year down there, it's just like, okay, maybe I'm on to something. So
what was the, because now, I mean, baseball is such a factory game. Like guys go to drive line in the off season and they're tinkering with pitches and they're putting literal pins in baseballs to have their finger placement exactly right to get the spin exactly as they want it. You're not doing any of that. You weren't even expecting to be a pitcher. Like how did your progression with all of that come about? Like how did you sort of discover what the John Lieber arsenal kind of was?
How much time do we got?
We're good, man. We got time.
I've got plenty of baseball questions for you.
No, so in fact, my wife and I were just talking about this earlier over on the way over here. But I'm old school. I always will be. I'm always going to be traditional.
Yeah.
I'm going to be flat out honest. I hate today's game. I think there's too much.
Cross that question off the list.
I know, me too. I got that.
I just, I've been brought up to, let's go back to South Alabama. South Alabama was started by Eddie Stanky, the Rat. And he instilled, hard work and, respect the game. You're going to play the game the right way. And I just look around at today's game and there's just, I don't see that, I think it's all about me and, what can I do? And it's really a shame, and not saying the game's in a terrible place, but it's just a different level than when I played. Yeah. So
after your first year at South Alabama, you got drafted, correct? To the Cubs.
Yes.
Kind of ironic. You decided not to go though, to go back to school. Was it unfinished business at school? Wasn't drafted high enough? What was the reason?
So what happened was, the ninth round. So had an idea of what ninth round picks were getting back then, and I think for a ninth round pick it was 32,000 plus school, and so I'm I'm just going to tell you like it is. I remember talking to the scout, had a meeting, and he had 4 options out there. None of them were even close. And he asked me what I thought, and I said, "There's no way." And he goes, "Well, what are you looking at?" I told him, and he said, "You'll never see that." And I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to go back to school." So had a talk with my pitching coach. Already decided. Well, 3 weeks later, I'm back home here and get a call from the cross checker for the Cubs. Right then and there, he offered it to me, but he needed to know. And I looked at my mom. I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I decided to go back to school. And he appreciated, for me to tell him that, and he wished me the best of luck.
Wow.
So, it was a hard decision. If they would have offered me something close to that, I'm a Chicago Cub in '91.
Right.
So without a doubt.
What was that senior year like, though?
Awesome.
So it all worked out.
It
You
did.
guys won the conference your senior year, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we won the conference, won the Sun Belt Championship. So I was Player of the Year in the conference. A lot of good things. It really helped my development for pro ball, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think not saying if I didn't have that senior year things would have been differently, but under the guidance of Ronnie Powell, my pitching coach, it really helped me, I think, progress, getting quicker to the big leagues. So
John Lieber joining us here from Let It Fly West on the Bottom Line Show. Michael Severe and Mike Schaefer. First time I get a chance to say that. So you get drafted by the Pirates. We were about the same age, right?
Well, drafted by the Royals.
So the Royals, excuse me, they traded you to the Pirates.
Yes, sir.
So you get drafted by the Royals, which is kind of your hometown team a little bit, not too far from here. What was that like? And then you find out you're getting traded while you're in the minors. What was that like?
Now the Royals was awesome. It was great. I knew I had the opportunity to come back to Omaha, possibly, to play at the AAA franchise, which was in my backyard, and be close to home, if I ever made it up. So that was absolutely awesome. Did what I had to do to get to the next levels, but come to find out, getting traded before the July 31st deadline in 93. Was not expecting that.
I bet.
Was very hard, but looking back on it, was the best thing that happened. It was a good trade, an opportunity for me to go do what I needed to do in Pittsburgh's organization. We didn't do very well. I mean, I think 97 was probably our best year. But from there, things just get traded back to Chicago and so forth. So
came full circle for you.
Yeah.
So what was your kind of minor league experience like? You get out of college, you go into the minor leagues. Like, what level did they start you out at?
That was something else we were talking about.
I was in the car.
Yeah. No, it was, that was another thing. That was great. Went to Eugene, Oregon.
Nice.
That's where, they had the short season A-ball teams back then.
They don't have that anymore.
They don't have that no more. So played with other college ball players, and was very, very quick there. I was only there for I think 3 weeks, and then was sent to Baseball City in Orlando, high A for the Royals. So, and then the next year started out in Wilmington, Delaware, which they moved Baseball City to there, and
from Florida to Delaware.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not exactly Baseball City.
but honestly, it was awesome, because when I went to Baseball City, this is no lie, they only had like 25, 30 people in the stands every night.
Oh, wow.
It was brutal. And then you go up there the next year, there's 5,000.
They were happy as hell.
Yeah, first time they've had minor league baseball in 50 plus years.
Wow.
Back in Delaware. So go to Memphis, and then that's when the trade happened. And I think my minor league career was like a year and a half. So
you didn't spend that much time in the minors, then?
No, it was very quick.
So you because you hear stories of those guys that are basically you kind of have that crisis of confidence of at what point do you want to keep riding a bus to keep doing this thing that, you want to get to the majors, but your track was pretty quick.
It was, I look back on it now, and I've talked to close friends about this. I think it all boils back to South Alabama, which, my pitching coach there challenged me at some of my hardest times in my career.
Mhm.
There was, he brought me in for my junior year, and I didn't start off too good. I was supposed to be slotted number 2 pitcher for the team, and I started off 0-3, and I'm carrying like a 7 or 8, earned run average,
Yeah.
and there was some tough love given during a game, Mississippi State. And he challenged me to a situation, some things I can't see on the air right now, but it really created the pitcher I was throughout my whole career, and that
Yeah.
was to be aggressive and to pitch to contact, and doesn't matter who you face, they're just the same as you, and sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. And looking back, there was guys that were much better than me that I played with. I mean, all the talent in the world, but I think they never went through failures like I did. And they
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
how to handle them in the minor leagues, because they're not going to baby you in the minor leagues. You're either going to figure it out or you're not.
Yeah.
And so, I figured out real quickly, I'm just going to challenge guys. And I give all the credit, to that being my success story.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because my wife's a therapist, and she always talks about that the first real sports therapists were for baseball players and they were for pitchers, because
Yeah.
there's nobody that has bigger highs and lows than you guys do. Physically, obviously, you can get rocked on a night, be good the next night. How do you make sure you handle it and you're ready for the next one? Being that you're coming off of something maybe that you struggled, and being ready for the next one. How hard is that to do?
I looked at it this way, to be honest with you. The sun comes up tomorrow.
Mhm.
And it's and I teach young kids today, and that's one of the things I talk about is adversity, and that no matter what, you've always got to keep yourself at an even keel.
Yeah.
Don't let the good times get you up here so much, and don't dread on the bad times, because it all evens out as long as you pitch the way you're supposed to pitch, and don't be afraid. A lot of kids today, unfortunately, I work with a lot of 8, 9-year-olds for some reason, but trying to get them to understand it's okay to hit somebody. You're going to make mistakes, and it's how you overcome those mistakes that's going to make you a better player down the road.
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing, is making sure, hey, trust yourself, trust your ability, and do the best you can.
What was kind of the experience so you were with the Pirates, and then you end up going over to the Cubs, like right around the time that things start to sort of change for the Cubs. You have Gary Wood, eventually Mark Pryor, you're making the playoffs.
Mhm.
And in that stretch, I think, 2 of the best seasons of your career in 2000, 2001. Like, what was that like? As Chicago's an incredibly public team in a way that Pittsburgh is not.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like if you're playing the same sport, you're playing in the same division, effectively, but it's just a wildly different, to me, it would seem to be a wildly different experience.
Very different. There was a lot of things going through my mind that year when I was traded to Chicago. I'm not going to lie, I was ready to get out of Pittsburgh. I think I tried to do the best I could. I was there for 5 years. Things just didn't pan out. They're a very blue collar team.
Sure.
And they work hard, to get to, people work hard in that city to get to where they need to be. And then you go to a big city like Chicago, where, there's Cubs fans everywhere.
Sure.
One of my best friends in high school, was a Cubs fan, and, WGN was where the Cubs were at.
Oh,
So it was a very good move in my career for me to be a part of that. And it really helped just kind of start fresh, and, just go out and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to surround you with the quality players that a team needs.
Yeah.
To where Pittsburgh, they'll get good, and then they send them off.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Like a farm system in the major leagues. A little
exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
Mike is a Indians fan. I grew up a Mets fan. We all watched.
I was a
the
Mets
Cubs.
fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I was a big
Oh,
Strawberry
look at that.
See,
Gooden
we're the
fan.
same. We're the same age. So yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I was actually born in '69, the Miracle Mets year.
Okay.
I actually, weird story. I worked with Ron Swoboda, my first job I ever had. And
Oh,
Ron
wow.
Swoboda hit a home run the day I was born.
Really?
Which is one of the weirdest things. We had this conversation in the newsroom
That's
when I was
awesome.
an intern. But I was just saying that we all watched the Cubs, right?
Yeah.
So no matter where you went in the country, unlike there was really no national package other than Monday Night Baseball. What was that like being recognized in so many places because you're a Cub?
Well, it was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it was, and I don't think it was just because of that. I think it was just getting back to the Midwest, you know, close where my roots were, and I know the Midwestern people, you know, it was home. It just felt more comfortable than playing on the East Coast. Nothing wrong with the East Coast. They're just diehards, you know, just like Cubs fans,
Sure.
but it's just a difference. And if you know what I mean. So
it's part of the weather, really. You're just miserable all the time.
I think
you
you're
want
right.
a little bit of summer to come along and your team to be good.
Well, look, it gets worse the closer you get to the coast too. So
that's true. That is true.
But no, it was great. You know, just like Cardinals fans. You know, Cardinals are diehards, but they, you know, there's a respect there for both teams, and you know, it was just nice to be a part of that.
What's sort of the dynamic like with a pitching staff in the majors? I mean, so I mentioned before you're with the Cubs. You have Kerry Wood, who's quite a bit younger than you are, and then Mark Pryor's coming in, and the way they pitch and the way you pitch, two entirely different things.
Absolutely.
And so, like, are you watching them and trying to pick up stuff from guys that are younger than you, or are you trying to pass on things to them as they were coming up early in their career? Or is it just sort of because it is a business, you know, everybody's coming in and doing their thing, and you're leaving it at that at the end of the day?
I just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
I just tried to stay in my lane. You know, I didn't want to be that guy that acts like, not saying that I know everything, but I'm just not that type of guy, you know, unless they were to come to ask me questions. Obviously they were successful enough to get there to that level. I just let them do their thing, you know, and maybe I might, you know, mention something that might help, but and everybody was kind of like that. You know, there was nobody that just really kind of forced themselves onto you.
Yeah. What about so obviously it's an incredibly long season, 162. You make the playoffs even longer than that. It's such a grind. Do you think they should shorten the season? I've always advocated for fitting the season in a perfect place before football starts, because then you don't lose a bunch of people to football. It's still Nebraska. It's still Nebraska. What do you think about in terms of how long of a season that is?
I think this playoff should start September 1st. I've always been a big advocate of that. I think you know, that would be a great time. And the reason I say this is because sometimes because of the weather, depending on where you're at, and it is a long season. And unfortunately, it's all about, you know, money in this game, like any other sport. But, you know, I wish they would start September 1st. The World Series be the first week of October. You know,
I can get with that.
I mean, I'm sure you want it to be August 1st, so it just lines up just perfectly for the kickoff of football season. But you had as long of a career as you did. You pitched in the postseason with the Cubs and with other teams. Is there a game that stands out the most to you as you kind of look back on it?
There's a couple of them. Probably my debut was a big one. That was in Philly.
What was that like going out to the mound? Because guys talk about that, and I don't remember. I was reading a Jeff Passan book, and those pictures, like, there's nothing like you go out on the mound, you do a spin, you do the 360, and you see everything.
Well, I remember I got the call up, and I'm in Buffalo at the time, and so they flew me in like 2 days before for the first game of the series with the Phillies, and of course I got the getaway day, and we got drilled by the Phillies those two games, you know, because they were coming off National League champs the year before. And so I'm like, oh my God, you know, I gotta face these guys. And so it's Mother's Day on Sunday. I think it's 24th, I don't know, 94. 56 or 58,000 people in the stands. I got my mom, dad, brothers, their wives, whatever, girlfriends. And then Wilmington, Delaware, you know, where I was just at the year before.
Right.
A lot of people come up from there. So, you know, I'm a little nervous, but go down, you know, and talking to everybody on the way down that's standing in the stands and not taking it serious. You know, Ray Miller's a pitching coach, and he's trying to stop me. Come on, let's go.
Well, it was Philly. They were saying nice things, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Famous.
Yeah, we're gonna drub you today. No, so but went out. Great game. And walked the first batter, Lenny Dykstra.
Nails.
Wow.
Yeah, he comes around to score, and that was the only run in the whole game. Went
Wow.
6 innings, lost 1-0, and had some great compliments. For that game. I think Fergosi was one of them. He goes, he quoted, he's like, yeah, he throws a little bit harder than what the scouting report said. So, but it was just, it was an awesome feeling. I think the other one that comes to mind was probably the one hit shutout in Chicago. That I think we just had the anniversary of that. And that was 25 years ago. This past week, and went out, gave up the one hit, faced 27 hitters. The game was only like an hour and 48 minutes.
There you go.
Beautiful.
So
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Do you it just kind of dawned on me, your first season in the majors was 94, which is a fairly infamous season to have, with the strike and everything. Did that, you look back on that now, obviously everything worked out, you have a long major league career. In the moment where you just kind of like, what the hell? I'm just starting out. I want to play baseball.
I had no idea that was going on.
Yeah.
Really?
Had no clue until they said, hey, they're locking the doors or whatever, and you don't have to come to the ballpark tomorrow. Pack your bags, go home, or hang out till if you want to hang out a week, see what happens. But everybody said, yeah, this is gonna last a while.
Yeah.
So that was very hard because I was having a ball, just doing my thing. So of course it came back the next year, took a while.
Yep.
And didn't have a very good 95 season, but rebounded from that, and then everything was good.
Yeah.
Last thing for me, it's so hard to just stop doing something you've done your whole life. What was it like those last couple of years as you're trying to make that decision that I'm going to wrap it up, I'm going to retire?
I think the first thing was I knew my ability to pitch like I was capable of pitching. 5 years earlier was gone, and I didn't want to be that guy that was just hanging around. And I think what really was the ending for it was, my kids were at an age I was ready to be home with them.
Yeah.
I really was. And, I was just burnt out mentally. And so it took probably about 6 or 8 months for me to, I think once spring training started up the next year and I got through that, then I was fine. I was okay.
Yeah.
There was no regrets. But it was hard because your body's used to, hey, you got to start working out, get ready,
right.
And I had opportunities to go play, but I was just mentally done.
What you mentioned earlier that you certainly don't love where the game is at right now. What's sort of just your relationship with baseball in general? Like, is it if it's on the TV, you might check it out a little bit? Is it you want to be involved with the youth level? Like, where are you at now with
well,
the game?
I watch no baseball.
Got that in common.
Yeah.
Should have TV, so we can get them all in hockey over here.
Well, she might disagree. I won't watch a whole game, but
okay.
I like college baseball. But,
yes, there you go.
But yeah, I'll check it out every now and then. But I can't. A major league game? No way. There's just I feel like I'm umpiring the game. So, but where I'm at, like I said earlier, I've had the ability to work with younger kids and teach them the way that I've learned how to play the game. Not all this new stuff, I'm straightforward with them. I'm saying, look, if you're coming to learn how to pick up velocity, I'm not your guy. That's the bottom line. And I'm not a big believer in that. I think the guns are juiced. And the reason I say that, I've talked to plenty of people about that. The numbers you see on the radar gun, Leo Mazzoni is, a big advocate of that you can take 4 to 5 miles an hour off of everybody that you see.
Yeah.
That,
oh, really?
Yeah, because it's a difference from when I played. They would get the ball when it crossed home plate, but now they get everything to where it's 3 feet closer to the plate and it's coming out of your hand. So obviously it's going to be much
the max velocity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And See, and that's the one thing I really don't like about it, because I don't care about it coming out of your hand. I want to know what's the velocity crossing the plate
Right.
and where the hitter's going to make contact possibly.
Yeah.
So
4 kids, correct?
yes, sir.
All
Yep.
starting with J. Was it planned out? Was it an accident? I mean, what happened with that?
I think after the second one, we just couldn't
Just kept
stop.
going with the
yeah, we
J?
just kept
Yeah,
going with the
you were
J.
committed at that point. Yeah.
I find that awesome. So you ready? Your speech ready to go? I know you were a little apprehensive about having to
I
stand
have
there.
no speech.
Right.
I
Just
mean,
tell stories. That's what we love.
I got
100%.
what is it?
5 minutes.
3 minutes, I thought.
Oh, they shortened it?
Well, I saw 3 minutes, but is it-
Okay, maybe I thought it was 5, but if it could be 3.
Can I just-
There's a clock right in front of you.
Think of it as
When
gutting
you're on
out
stage.
5 innings. You know.
Yeah.
or can I just say thank you?
There's a clock right in front of you. And you have the clock counting down, and so you can just talk as long as you want
Okay.
until the clock gets
So
to
just
0.
just tell how my story went, I guess.
I
or-
kind of how you told the story to us. I think
Okay.
the story your mom said to you is
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
The fact that at least everybody I know growing up, we all dreamt of being a baseball player.
Yep.
You were like ready to say, well, I did something in high school.
I really,
That's kind of incredible. I think.
yeah, I mean, I really was.
It wasn't even to be a pitcher necessarily.
Yeah, I
either.
know.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's amazing to me.
It just it's amazing, and that's the one big thing I preach to kids nowadays. Even high school kids is, no matter what position you're in, don't ever give up, because once those 4 years are gone, they're gone. You're never going to get them back.
Yeah.
And that's why not go try. If you have an opportunity to go play NAIA or Division 3, Division 1, whatever it is,
Mhm.
go give it a shot, because that's the way mine worked out.
Sure.
It was never a goal until I got into a full routine workout year round, and next thing you know, I end up with a 17-year career in pro ball. I mean, that's just
You fell into everybody's dream.
Yeah.
yeah.
You literally fell into what everybody dreams to be.
And and the biggest thing is, the one thing I miss is everybody talks about the guys and the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Mine is competing. I miss throwing a baseball to the best players in the world.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is.
The grind.
I love it, and I truly do miss that. So
That's awesome.
I would use that for the speech. Everything that you did, the
Everything you
4
did.
years, the
Yeah.
grind, all of it. I think that'll work pretty well.
okay,
That'll get you at least another 30, 40 seconds. So you're getting close to that 5 minutes.
John, we
No, you're going to
appreciate
do great.
no,
We really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Congratulations
No,
on all
thank
the
you
success
guys.
and getting into the Omaha Sports Commission Hall of Fame. It's pretty awesome.
Can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you so
Really
much. Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it.
Thanks
All
for
right,
joining
thank you
us.
guys.
All right, welcome back. We appreciate John Lieber joining us.
That was
You got
great.
your baseball conversation.
I loved it. Like, I know I can't talk baseball with you, so.
You can talk baseball with me. Just make it college baseball.
Okay, well, I can do that.
I mean, I watched a
That'll
ton
work.
of college baseball.
All right.
Both my kids were out of town this weekend. I watched softball and baseball. Softball and baseball.
Okay.
That's what I did. You can talk that.
And then I can bring up the Mets to about what year?
3 years ago.
Oh,
As soon-
okay.
As
All right.
soon as they got rid of DH, I was National League
remember this
guy.
conversation
I'm a National
between
League
us,
guy.
yeah.
I believe in the National League guy. Johnny could hit. A lot of pitch. I was a Mets fan. All the Mets pitchers could hit.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, well, we're not going to have pitchers hit anymore. And I was done. I always said it.
As an American League
I don't
guy,
like
I never
Amer-
considered
I
this.
know, I understand, but I was never an American League guy. Mercer didn't make the tournament.
No,
I didn't.
they got left out.
Oh, I did not even.
They're
I-
the biggest snub.
the biggest snub out of all of
anybody.
them.
Yeah. They scheduled hard. They played. They didn't win their tournament. And they
Man.
got left out.
Oh, that's
So,
well.
no, I mean, they do everything you ask them to do. It's the same
Yeah.
as what it was for, either Xavier or UConn a year ago, where
Yeah.
you go schedule how they tell you to, you go play what you're supposed to, and then they still stick, an SEC or a Big 12 or ACC team ahead of you,
Yeah.
no matter what.
I thought he was talking about Bobby Mercer for a second. I was like,
No,
Bobby's been gone
no.
for a bunch of years. I'm not sure which.
Mercer
Mercer's-
out of
No, I know the
Florida,
school.
right?
Hey, look, Mercer played Alabama in football
Okay,
quite a
there you
bit,
go.
so
Yeah,
I followed that. a
You
little
wouldn't
bit.
know that.
Yeah, I followed the football part of it. Georgia Mercer,
Okay, wrong Mercer.
the wrong Mercer. Let me do football real quick because we have to do football.
Yeah.
Every one of these that we do, right? You
Wow,
have to have
that
something
makes sense.
Here's the question I have to ask you because of what Jeep Wade is doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you as a guy, long time recruiting guy, if there's an assistant coach position, not coordinator, that you want to have as your best recruiter, what position would that be?
I think it's either the defensive line, which is usually, I think if you could pick one,
Yeah.
it'd be number one, and then offensive line. I mean, this sounds so reductive and simplistic, but if you can have guys that are really good up front on both sides of the ball, it makes everybody else's life so easy.
Yeah.
And you get this, and I think a lot of people who watch football for a long time pick up and ultimately understand this. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of defensive backs and running backs and wide receivers that you can put into your system. But when you get those right offensive linemen, it makes everything easier. And, we talk about why has Nebraska not been successful and why this hasn't worked out and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their last truly good offensive line coach, and it was a tandem, it was Barney Cotton and John Garrison. I love John Garrison.
Yeah.
I love talking football with John Garrison. I love talking when he and I would talk off to the side about, hey, I like this guy down in Kansas City. This is what I like out of him. I like the athleticism. I mean, John Garrison got a lot of guys to the NFL.
Definitely.
That, when we talk about development, what you want Nebraska football ultimately to be, that was happening under Bo's, when we think about Bo Pelini and those teams, you think about the defense, you think about all of this. They put a lot of guys in the NFL from the offensive line.
Yeah, they didn't all get drafted.
Right.
But they
a lot
all
of them
played
were
5, 6, 7 years.
NFL teams are like, oh, these guys were taught the right way.
Yep.
They're tough and they're willing to play as a guard or a tackle or a center on moment's notice. And I think that's a real credit to John Garrison.
Last thing, how impressive is what Jeep Wade has done, especially since where he went into, going into Georgia.
Yep.
I was telling you about that triangle area. My family lives in there. Just a ton of good football being played there.
Yeah, I mean, like Nebraska has gotten good offensive line recruits in the past.
Sure.
And usually they've come out of the Midwest, and it just hasn't always worked out. And they've beaten out, Ohio State for Turner Corcoran or Bryce Benhart. They beat out good teams in the Midwest, or Grant Bricks was a player they're excited to beat Oklahoma for. It's different if you can go into Georgia and get Jordan Agbanoma, who's a top 100 player in the country, and Georgia wanted him. He was on Georgia's campus 4 days before he commits to Nebraska.
That's crazy.
And NIL, I'm sure, is a component in all of this. But to get a kid and tell him, hey, we can do this for you, and you're going to move to a state that you probably never thought of in your life.
Right.
Before Jeep Wade, ended up here as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just a huge, huge deal.
It is.
And I know that Nebraska was recruiting Agbanoma when Donovan Raiola was there, but their real shot came when Jeep Wade shows up, and then in January he goes down there and he starts recruiting these guys that he'd already built years worth of relationships with when he was at Georgia Tech. And it just makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, he's the mid-season, off-season.
MVP definitely the off-season MVP. And if it translates, and Nebraska's offensive line is what people are hoping, and certainly with the players that they went out and they got in the portal. I mean, that was their whole strategy for the portal was, we're going to take the excess money that we have that we're not paying for our quarterback, and we're going to put it in our offensive line. We're not going to go get another running back. We're going to build up the offensive line, and that's going to build our running game.
Yeah.
And it's a big investment, and if it pays off, it could pay off not just this year, but for several years in the future.
They have 109 total starts among those 5 guys. All of them are powerful.
They haven't had an experienced line like this in a while.
Ton of time.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. Well, thank you. We got through the first
this is
one.
great.
Yeah. I want to thank Mike Delaware for helping us.
Another Mike.
No block, no rock. Helping us do that. Mike Allen, of course, who is the executive producer of this. Mike Schaefer, we appreciate it. Everybody who came out for it. John Lieber, of course, for being a part of this as well. Eventually, we'll want you to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Once we have everything put together.
We know what you are liking and subscribing.
Exactly. We'll do that. We'll be back next week with more from Let It Fly West on the Bottom Line Show with Michael Severe and Mike Schaefer.